You must be wondering what's got me smiling this way, and to be honest, it is something extremely special. Well, why don't you take a look for yourself? Say hello to the Ducati Multistrada V4S. What the Multistrada V4 is essentially the latest generation in the company's flagship adventure tourer. The Multistrada V4 is almost completely all new over the model it replaces, the Multistrada 1260. And before I tell you all about this bike, do subscribe to the Evo India channel and click that bell icon to stay notified on all things thrill of riding. Okay, so let's start with what's most apparently different when you first look at this bike, its design. Now, if taking one look at this bike doesn't make you weak in your knees, I don't know what will. This bike has a nice clean and fresh look while remaining true to that Multistrada silhouette that we all know and love. Now, this here is the S variant, meaning it gets full LED headlamps, an LED DRL and corner lighting function, and the sheer size of those modules makes sure that you have great road illumination even at night. And right above it is this windscreen that is extremely easy to adjust even on the fly. You want to raise it up, just pull the tab, raise it up. You want to put it back down, just push the tab and it goes back down. It's that simple. And I found for my height and my riding style, it gives great wind protection even at speeds north of 150 kilometers an hour. Now move to the side of the bike and you're greeted by an aggressive sharp design like these shark fin shaped vents for cooling the engine, and right below it are these winglets. Now, despite what the look suggests, they're not meant for downforce, but rather to divert cool wind to the rider's legs. Now, you are sitting on top of a stonking V4 engine that puts out some crazy power figures, and all that translates to a lot of heat. When you're in slow city speeds, there is quite a bit of heat that's emanating and that's coming right towards your leg. But get going and the wind starts to become cool around your legs. To aid rider comfort and to prevent your legs from becoming toast, the engine is set up to shut off the rear cylinder banks when the engine is idling or you're at a standstill. Then there is this seat. It's an 840mm seat and can be adjusted up to 860mm, and it is nice, wide and roomy and accommodating even for a larger rider like me. And in the saddle, you would have no issue exhausting multiple fuel tanks in a single day of riding. Speaking of which, this is a 22-litre fuel tank, so your fuel bills might become a concern, but that's a story for another day. The pillion seat as well is extremely comfortable and roomy and can be lengthened or shortened by 1.8mm using nifty adjusters that are under the seat. And then we move to the rear. Now the eagle-eyed amongst you would have noticed that this no longer has a single-sided swing arm, rather it has a double-sided swing arm, and that in combination with the aluminum monocoque chassis has resulted in a shorter wheelbase. Now, apart from that, you also have this new tail light that is different from what it used to be on the Multistrada 1200 and the 1260. And finally, we have this new exhaust that is significantly longer, sleeker and upswept than it used to be earlier. Let's have a quick listen at how it sounds, shall we? Now overall, I really like how this entire new package has come together. What do you think? Let us know in the comment section below. The next big and probably the most important change on this new generation of the Multistrada is that fire-breathing V4 engine. It's called the Gran Turismo V4 and it is derived from a heavily reworked version of the engine that is found on the Panigale V4. To make the engine better suited for Multistrada use, Ducati has heavily reworked it, with the biggest change being the introduction of more traditional valve springs, instead of the desmotromic system that Ducati has associated its identity with. What this has resulted in is a massive 60,000 kilometer valve check service interval. Now these credentials endow it with a manic 168 bhp of power and 125 Newton meters of torque, which makes this Multistrada V4 one of the most powerful adventure tourers in the market right now. Now all of these are numbers, but what is the engine like in the real world? Put plain and simple, it's simply amazing. You can extract superbike levels of performance without breaking a sweat, all while feeling like you're seated in the comfort of your sofa at home. The bike accelerates with vigor, cleanly all the way to the red line, and it revs really quick. and it feels lively in all riding modes, and this is even in urban mode, which gets the least power output of the engine. The throttle response is positively sharper on sport and touring mode, and get the bike to open roads and it becomes a different animal altogether. The phrase superbike on stilts suddenly starts to make sense. The engine revs so freely and effortlessly to its red line, and then there is that quick shifter. Slot your foot, pin the throttle and tut tut tut. And as you'd expect with any modern day Ducati, you get a bunch of rider aids to ensure that the rubber side is kept down. Finally, there's an enduro mode which ensures all the rider parameters are set such that you can have maximum fun when the tarmac ends. But I don't have the skill or the cojones to put that to the test, so that's for another day. Along with the engine, the chassis has also got a significant update. The bike now gets a monocoque frame and a double-sided swing arm, which is suspended on 50 mm Marzocchi forks up front and a Marzocchi monoshock at the rear. Both fully adjustable and both get Ducati's Skyhook technology. What does this mean? Electronic adjustment. No need to carry tools anymore or even have to go to your suspension tech, all of which can be adjusted just from one click of the button. There are presets. Ducati has customized presets for the suspension in each rider mode, and if you don't like those presets, you can also individually customize them. So based on whether you're riding solo, you're riding two-up, you're riding solo with luggage, you get what I'm saying. And then if that also doesn't do it for you, you can customize just how you want the suspension, stiffer in the front, softer in the rear. Possibilities are endless. And if you don't feel like adjusting anything at all and you just want to ride, Ducati also has an auto leveling function which will set the preload and the damping based on the ride. Now this entire setup comes together really well. Good roads, bad roads, off-road, it handles everything pretty well. Now that suspension in combination with the solid chassis and the wide handlebar and comfortable seat all come together to make a really comfortable ride. And when you're done being comfortable and you want to thrash it around a set of twisties, this bike handles that extremely well as well. Now, don't get me wrong, this is a massive bike. It weighs 243 kilos with a full tank of gas, and that's not small by any sense of the word. But once you get riding it, you get used to it, it really shrinks around you, and that 243 kilos doesn't seem like 243 kilos anymore. Tip it into a corner, it'll hold the line, it won't weigh you down, you have full control of the bike, and that's all thanks to this chassis setup. Now the wheel setup on this bike is a standard ADV wheel setup, so that means a 19-inch front and a 17-inch rear. And these wheels are shod on Pirelli Scorpion Trail 2 tires. That combination, and despite having a 19-inch front wheel, the front end of this bike is extremely agile and flickable, and it moves on command. This gives to you a sense of confidence that you can just filter it through tight traffic, corners, anything, and that is true. But the only thing you need to keep in mind is the proportions of the bike and that you don't hit anything when you're making some tight passes. Apart from that, the turning radius of the bike is also rather nice. The icing on the cake of the Multistrada V4 chassis setup is its braking. Now this here is the S variant, meaning it gets top drawer Brembo dilemmas, and boy do they work. Stopping a 258 kilo projectile should sound like a gargantuan task, but those dilemmas make short work of it. They have extremely great initial bite, and once you set the span adjustable levers to your like, you can modulate the feedback extremely well. Braking shouldn't be this good, it really spoils you for other bikes. Now in terms of features, this is like any other modern day Ducati, packed to the gill with tech that you'd usually expect in spaceships. Ducati quick shift, Ducati wheelie control, Ducati cornering traction control, cornering ABS, which are all step adjustable, then hill hold control, keyless ignition, you name it, it basically has it. The biggest feature, however, the standout feature for me, however, is the addition of radar technology, which makes this the first bike in the world to get radar technology. There are two sensors, one in the front that enables adaptive cruise control, like you find in modern day cars. So basically this is regular cruise control, plus the added feature of the fact that your radar sensor will track the vehicle ahead of you and maintain the speed accordingly. You can also adjust the safe distance that you would like to maintain with that vehicle, and suppose that vehicle speeds up, your bike speeds up with it. If it slows down, your bike slows down with it. And the radar sensor at the back enables blind spot detection, which basically means when traffic from behind is coming too dangerously close to you, it warns you with these indicator lights on your wing mirrors. The best part of this thing is it's not a gimmick, it does actually work. The next big update in terms of features is Ducati Connect, which basically allows you to pair your phone to that massive 6.5-inch TFT cluster. You can store your phone in this pocket and even charge it while on the go, and that allows you to cast your maps. So you have live maps on your instrument cluster without needing to mount your phone on the handlebar. Apart from that, you can also control your phone media, contacts, make calls, get notifications and all of that. So basically this has everything you'd need right out of the box. Alright, now it's time to give you my final thoughts of the Ducati Multistrada V4S. Now this is one motorcycle that is packed with features and it will do everything you want it to do and then some. It gets a ballistic motor with creamy power delivery, a bunch of segment first features like radar guided cruise control and blind spot detection. It gets a sorted chassis, stellar brakes and suspension and a lot more. But I feel there is one more reason you should be considering getting this bike. The fact that it's a flaming hot red Italian, a Ducati, and it oozes that appeal from every crack and crevice. Now granted, this is one expensive motorcycle. At rupees 23.1 lakh, this is not small money. And there are other motorcycles that will give you the same experience, that will do the same things that this does at a lesser price. But none will come close in terms of the emotion that this bike can garner. And for that reason and that reason alone, if you have 23 lakhs to spare, you cannot go wrong with this bike. What do you think of the Ducati Multistrada V4S? Let us know in the comment section below. And if you've liked this video, give us a thumbs up, share this video with your friends, and do subscribe to the Evo India channel and click that bell icon to stay notified for all things thrill of riding and thrill of driving.